Here.
Yes. So, Javier, everybody, let's do a restart quickly. And I'm very sorry that we were meant to be starting maximum at 10:35. Somehow, this was a terrible glitch on our side that we did not start. We will make sure next time we won't delay more than 5 minutes. So I'm sorry to everybody for keeping you waiting. Once again, welcome. Since Mane sir is here, he's our inaugural speaker for Kanshiram lecture series that we had envisioned. I was thinking about the politics of Bahujan movement, the Bahujan Samaj, and what it means for our own future, especially for the Bahujan youth. In this sense, it was only important for all of us to gather together to think about and to articulate something that can help us with a Bahujan vision. In that perspective, I am very happy and excited to welcome everybody to this series. We'll have a series of lectures over hopefully by until next month. Each week, a new speaker will come and offer us guidance. Professor Suresh Mane, as we all know, has been a long-term associate of Kanshiram. He started associating with Kanshiram ji in 1982, and a friend and professor of mine in Nanded would tell me when Kanshiram ji would visit Maharashtra or Mumbai specifically, he would have one man holding his hand and take him around. That was Professor Suresh Mane. And he has been an organizer of many, many rallies. In fact, one of the big andolans that happened in Ram Leela in Delhi when Kanshiram ji was leading a national movement. Suresh Mane sir has been one of the organizers of that convening. Tomorrow you will read about some of the rallies against that Kanshiram had organized against Vajpayee government's proposal to review constitution that he had himself witnessed in jeep marches and rallies that he was part of. And today he is more of an expert to us because he's not only associated with Kanshiram but also understood his philosophy, has written a book on the 88th anniversary of Kanshiramji's birth anniversary. The book looks at the glimpses of what the politics of Kanshiram means to us. The title of the book is as follows: Kanshiram, the inheritor of Dr. Ambedkar's legacy. Professor Suresh Mane was associated until 2003 when Kanshiramji was ill, and his career was also with BAMCEF, as well as he was a former general secretary of Bahujan Samaj Party. He took a voluntary retirement when he was at the peak of his career. He was the dean of law school at University of Mumbai, and had he continued, he would have become also the vice chancellor of that university. He joined the movement in 2015. Then he started Bahujan Republican Socialist Party that has bases not only in Maharashtra but also in Gujarat, Haryana, and northern states. Today we will hear from him, seek his advice on why study Kanshiram. So we will give him 50 minutes and then we will open up for Q&A. We will request you to please type your questions after the speaker finishes. So we'll gather questions and we'll direct to him. Over to you, Professor Suresh Mane.
Thank you, Suraj, and others colleagues who are in this first Kanshiramji inaugural lecture series. I also thank the organizers, Suraj and others, for conferring an honor on me to inaugurate or to deliver this inaugural lecture series on the Sahib Sri Kanshiram or the Bahujan movement. First, let us begin that we think of such a great leaders mostly after he dies. Probably our attempt is also a part of that. And that is one of the biggest deficiency of human behavior, that so long as such a scholar or intellect or a leader is alive and makes all out his contribution, efforts, to strengthen and for the success of any movement which he takes up. At that moment or at that point of time, very few people support him, strengthen him, follow him. That exactly happened during a period of Kanshiramji also. So he is also not an exception. Secondly, we know worldwide debate that whether leaders are born or they are made. This is a global debate. And some leaders fall in the category of born leaders, and some leaders fall in the category of self-made leaders. Now, self-made is also important, not that somebody is making them as a leader. If we recall, even the example of from the UK, she never had a big political background as in the family or behind her. She was born in the very medium family of a gross um, that seller family in a London, not as a coming from the big family, political family, or the family of the business icons. But she developed in a such a fashion that she became the one of the most powerful leaders of the Europe or European countries. That exactly applies to the Honorable Kanshi. He was he was not a born leader. He was not a born leader, but self-made leader. But let leader or to becoming a leader is a latter phase. First, you have to be a student of the moment, student of any aims and object which you would like to carry forward. And Kanshiramji was a dedicated student, a devotee, a determined student of the great movement of Phule, Shavu, Ambedkar, Srinarana Guru, Periyar, and so many others, more than 200, 250. The social revolts which had taken place in the early 19th and latter 20th century during the era of the Britishers to secure the basic human rights to the mankind, especially we call as the Dalits, the tribals, the backwards, the minorities. As I have made it very clear, as he was the first genuine and capable student leader in the next phase. And as a student, he studied properly all the social movements led by the prominent social rebels, especially Mahatma Phule, Periyarji, Srinarana Guru, Baba Sahib, and Rajarshi Shahu Maharaj. And after studying these leaders, he came to the certain conclusions that in order to carry forward the struggle of these great liberators, you need to have a scientific diagnosis approach in order to understand that the present movement of that time, which were run in the North India, the Maharashtra, and some other parts of the India. And he came to the conclusion
Sir,
that in Maharashtra or in North India, yes,
sir, your voice is little bit slow, and if possible, can you maybe because the
yeah,
screen is down, can it come little bit? Yeah,
uh,
something like.
this
But
is this is way, this is okay.
this is okay. Yeah, that's all right.
This
If you
is
can,
this is okay.
yeah,
The voice is okay now. Voice is okay.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So he studied, not only studied, after study, you need an in-depth and scientific diagnosis of any movement to understand the weaknesses and the success or the failures. And he studied by adopting this scientific approach, the Phule Shah Ambedkarite, the Bahujan movement, which was operating in some parts of India, especially Maharashtra. And when he diagnosed this, he came to the conclusion that this movement suffers from certain defects, failures, among which he identified one is the leaders. First is the leaders. Leaders are required to be genuine and capable, not necessarily having some background or coming from particular family, carrying the burden of dynasty, whatever it is. Genuine, capable. Capable leaders means what? They are 100% committed to their convictions. And these convictions should not be a matter of convenience, but they are the convictions for them. And the leader must have capacity that he genuinely believes that those convictions, which were a part of that movement, which was run by the greatest leaders. Third, he came to the conclusion that leader is okay now, but you need a trained cadres to the leaders. The followers are required to be with the two fundamental characters. One, one is the cadre-based training, and second, a disciplined cadres. So you have a cadre but indisciplined. That's a mismatch again. So you need a well-trained, disciplined, trained cadres, because behind this, having an idea of a well-trained, disciplined cadre is that in the world, all those movements have sustained for long with a greater degree of a success, which were in a disciplined nature, not in indisciplined nature. So they have to be disciplined movements. So that was his one of the findings. The one next finding was that he came to the conclusion that any movement of social change, if you would like to see as a successful movement, then it should be a broad base. It should not be based on a particular one segment of any society. And therefore, Bauchin's formula comprises of scheduled caste, the scheduled tribes, the backwards, and the convergent relative, the conversion of this religious minority. So this is a broad base of format which he accepted, which was first time elaborately stated by Mahatma Phule in the form of one side Shethji, Bhattji, Ladji, and other side the Bahujan Samaj. That was the demarcation or the grouping of the two classes of Bahujan and non-Bahujan classes. And then one more aspect that Kanshiramji believed, and that is any movement which works independently or would like to work independently, it must have its own resource base. And that's a very vital. If such a movement, ideologically trained cadre, all otherwise factors are there, but the resource base is a dependent. In that case, that will not succeed. So, in the cadre camp conducted by himself, which also I had been a part, he used to teach that those who can create the resources, they only can run the movement. So resourceless people or leader, they cannot run the movement. And that was one of the firm conviction which he had. And again, two, three things. Among this, one, that any movement you require a consistent but dynamic agenda. Agenda according to the need of the time, not carrying the agenda of earlier part, but with a dynamic character, with a new kind of dynamism. You require an agenda. Even this was focused by Baba Sahib also. Baba Sahib also said that you require a firm agenda, you clear-cut agenda. But Kanshiram little bit went further. He said, you require an agenda with a dynamic character. according to the deed of time. So that was the addition of Kanshiram. And then again he said, everything is there, but you need to have a solid build-up organization network. If you don't have the organizational network, then who will carry forward all these things? And therefore, he used to quote Guru Gobind Singh. Guru Gobind Singh's one famous quote is that, "जिसका दल नहीं, उसका बल नहीं." That is the famous quote. And since Kanshiram ji comes from Punjab background, he had a well nurtured teaching of gurus. And therefore he said, Guru Gobind Singh used to say that jiska dal nahi, uska bal nahi. And dal means he had an idea of well built up, well nurtured, well developed organization. So that is also one of the essential. And finally, Kanshiram himself innovative technique thinking about the movement, which reflected in his one of the write-up, named as the Chamcha Age. He authored only two write-ups. One, Why BAMCEF, that was published long back in 1981, and second in 1982, the Chamcha Age. And in the Chamcha Age, in the concluding para, you can understand the clear-cut vision of Kanshiram. What he says, any movement of social change must be consistent and peaceful. Very important. Any movement of social change, I repeat, any movement of social change must be consistent and peaceful. But to make it the movement more effective, sometimes it has to be violent in nature. Sometimes it has to be violent in nature. Now, here, the concept of violence needs to be understood again in a proper connotation. Violence means at ideological level. Violence does not mean simply physical violence. Violence means when our ideologies are so extreme, aggressive, that kind of violentness is required in the part of the movement. And that entire culmination took place in the Kanshiramji's movement. Now, when I describe all these issues, you need to understand Kanshi well researched positive thinker. Well researched positive thinker. When I say positive, because there are many thinkers, but they don't believe in their own aims, and therefore they go in adverse direction. Kanshiramji was firm about his own movement, and therefore he was well designed, well planned, well studied, a thinker of his well organized movement. That's the first lesson which you have to go. Second, after all kind of this preparation, any movement is a learning process. Let us remember. Nowadays, what happens? Youngsters immediately come and jump and they try to become the leaders, or somebody make them a leaders. That is the issue. But here, the leadership is a big process. Merely because you are in a son or daughter of particular family, or your name is some and some, so you are entitled to be leadership is the foolishness. Leadership is the process. Now, Kanshiramji, having understood these basics of leadership, after analyzing the phenomena, he went on searching the pulses of the people in order to build up the movement. And that was the first and foremost stage in which Kanshiramji sowed the seed of his movement in India. And that was, if you remember, before starting even a BAMCEF, he conducted a 5 seminars in a different corners of the country, in which the theme of the seminar was whether Ambedkarism will revive or survive in India. That was the theme. Now look at the title, whether Ambedkarism will revive or survive in India. That is way back in 76, 77. Now here you can imagine in a 77, when Dalit Panther was more aggressive in Maharashtra, some leaders like DP Maurya, and they were operative in North India in the form of some other parties. But this 5 seminars with this kind of thing, it provoked large number of the people to think about Kanshiramji's new movement. And here I must answer, I must explain or tell to all you brothers, because I'm a witness of that. When one of the seminar was held in Mumbai, the Dalit Panthers leaders blamed the Kanshiram. He was accused as the illiterate, ignorant man. Even Arun Kamble was at that time a prominent Dalit Panther leader. He said, Kanshiramji is a useless guy. He don't know the Ambedkarite movement. Where there is a question of failure or success of Ambedkarite movement, Ambedkar movement has thrived throughout the country, and therefore this kind of holding a seminar is nothing but a foolishness. Now we can understand who was the right or who is the wrong. Now, after conducting this kind of seminars, and conducting a seminar means by the conducting the seminars, he checked the pulse of the people and the understanding of the people as one of the challenge in a future days while building the movement. And thereafter, in a planned manner, when he diagnosed the phenomenon of the failure of Ambedkarite leaders, he came to the conclusion that Ambedkar leaders or Ambedkarite leaders' biggest weakness was the resources. They cannot generate the resources, collect, mobilize the resources which were required for the movement of a Bahujan. And therefore, instead of running the movement, they preferred to join in the Congress, join in the other political parties, and they became the leaders of those parties, giving up their mottos of running independent Ambedkarite movement. And therefore, here he said, I will have to think about generating the resources. And by way of generating the resources, when he gave a more deep thought to this process, he came to the conclusion which class could be my class of resource they can provide me. And he came to the conclusion that because of the constitutional reservation policy, or because of the reservation policy of the struggles, which is the product of Mahatma Phule to Ambedkar, huge educated class was in existence. And Dr. Ambedkar, in annihilation of caste, and on 18th March 1956 in a Ramlila ground in Agra, had emphasized on the role of the educated people. Kanshiramji took a clue from that, and he came to the conclusion that these beneficiaries of reservation policy, they could become my reservoir, they could become my source of resources for the movement. And with that movement, he launched BAMCEF on a 6th December 1978 after planning the concept of BAMCEF on a 6th December 1971. So 1971 onwards, 1973, 6th December 1973 to 6th December 1978 is the formative period of the BAMCEF, the first organization of the Kanshiram that took place on 6th December 1978 on the Boat Club lawn of the Delhi. That time lawn was the open, like open parks in UK and US. So BAMCEF took place. Now, when BAMCEF came into existence, the principle of the BAMCEF was BAMCEF is an organization of the employees, by the employees, but not for the employees. That was the radical departure. Of the employees, by the employees, but not for the employees, but for the society in which these people have been born. So that was the basic concept founded on the principle of pay back to society. So pay back to society was the guiding stone of the BAMCEF ideology. Now, after generating the required sources, of course, not they were all sufficient to run the political movement. Kanshiramji enters third phase, and third phase is that in order to create the leaders, in order to create the cadre with the political trainings. He floated an independent organization called as the DS4. DS4 means Dalit Shoshit Samaj Sangharsha Samiti. It's the D for 4 times, therefore DS4. Now I joined in that phase, that is the 1982, as the young student cadre as a part of a DS4 in Mumbai in 1982, where that 1982 in the presence of Kanshi himself. Now DS4 was an experimenting phase. That was by two methods. One, creating the leadership in the youths, in the ladies, and the students. Three kind of channels were floated, and from these three kind of channels, three kind of cadres was created. Now, BAMCEF was a resource-based cadre, then student, then the youths and the ladies. That was a cadre for struggle. And during this struggle, the period of DS4 is also 6 December 1981 to 14 April 1984. Now, in this period, Kanshiramji conducted a limited political exercise by way of conducting elections in some states of North India, including Jammu Kashmir, especially Delhi, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Jammu Kashmir. And you will be surprised to know that Jammu Kashmir was the state where even a Janasangha has conducted a political exercise in the name of Praja Socialist Jammu Kashmir Praja Parishad. In that name, the political exercise was conducted by the Janasangha. And at that time, what the vote were received by the Janasangha or that Jammu Kashmir Praja Parishad, Kanshiramji DS4 got more votes comparing to the Jammu Kashmir Praja Parishad votes. So that was the remarkable feature of this limited political exercise. But through this exercise, Kanshiramji came to know that there is enough ground in North India, though there were the sizable leaders like Buddha Priya Maurya, BP Maurya, Jagjivan Ram, then his daughter Meera Kumar, and several other Dalit leaders, including Ramvilas Paswan, because Paswan emerged on the political horizons of India in 1977. That time Kanshiramji was nothing because he floated BAMCEF in 78. So, in spite of these big leaders, Kanshiramji emerged through DS4. And when after conducting his limited political exercise, then when he was convinced, he called a 3 days political convention in Delhi and he floated the Bahujan Samaj Party on 14th April 1984, where I was also personally present as the Bombay unit. Now you can understand here. So Kanshiramji starts his journey from 73 to 84 is a non-political exercise, is a building the resource base of the movement. And in 84, then he starts the political process. So that needs to be understood. So Kanshiramji has not jumped immediately that I have to contest the election, I have to win. He made a sufficient non-political processes he underwent because he firmly believed, and that belief was, what was that belief? That belief was that unless you have your non-political roots deep in a society, your politics will not succeed. So that was the one of the thesis floated by him, that you require the non-political deep roots in a society, then your politics will thrive. That was his concept. So after building this non-political roots, he floated a political party, and on 14th April 1984 and in November 1984, the UP elections were there, assembly elections. Now in UP assembly elections, at that time, he gave a ticket to near about 300 people, 300 candidates. But jokingly, he used to say, and he said that time, that this is only platform ticket. You will not be able to reach to the Lucknow. You may not be able to even board the train. This is just a platform ticket. Now, when he said it is a platform ticket, he had another also a message that for a party ticket you go to other parties. Now here is our own party. Why to run after other parties? This is our factory. Produce as much as tickets and contest the election. So that was his jokingly message to his cadres. Not in a serious manner as a big thinker, big intellectual, but in a very jovial manner, he used to communicate to the cadres. And that was a friendly relation between a cadre and leader, which is a very of vital importance. That is the need. Now here, he used to say to the cadres, but what happened? In that election, BSP did not open an account. But then Congress party, which was the strongest political party in UP, lost at many places. So Charan Singh formed the government. Congress lost. Now in a first election, without winning the seat, candidate got substantial votes. Congress lost in many places, and Charan Singh formed the ministry. And at that time, Rajiv Gandhi called him. He was the prime minister. Rajiv Gandhi called him and asked the Kanshiram, what you gain? You did not even open an account. Your single candidate has not won. So कांशीराम जी openly told him, look here, मैंने क्या कमाया, इसके बजाय तूने क्या गवाया, इसका हिसाब लगा. मैं तो फटीचर हूँ, मेरे पास तो कुछ ही नहीं गवाने के लिए, लेकिन तुम्हें बहुत कुछ गवाना पड़ेगा. And that was his clear-cut message to Rajiv Gandhi. And thereafter, you know the spectacular growth of BSP throughout the country in terms of vote share, in terms of the political success, resulting into the formation of governments in 1993, first with the demolition of the Babri Masjid, when the entire nation was shocked. At that time, Kanshiram ji used to say, after demolition of the Babri Masjid, three Singhs contacted me. One Mulayam Singh, one VP Singh, and second was Devila. These three Singhs contacted me, and I preferred Mulayam Singh, being a Yadav, being a backward. I preferred him, and I took him in company. That time I had only 12 MLAs, and that time even Mulayam Singh had not more than 50 MLAs. So with that short of MLAs, with that chunk of MLAs, he challenged the mighty BJP, the then in Uttar Pradesh and India, who demolished the Babri Masjid, saying that Mile Mulayam Kanshiram Hawa Ho Gaye Jai Sri Ram. That was the famous slogan that time. And they brought down the BJP to the dust. And that was the beginning of non-Brahmin chief ministers in Uttar Pradesh. Remember, this is also very important. With the Mulayam Singh in 1993, the process of non-Brahmin chief minister to Uttar Pradesh began. Otherwise, before that, all Brahmin chief ministers were there. And Kanshiram ji used to say that hereafter no Brahmin chief minister will be there, and you will be surprised. Even till today, in Uttar Pradesh, despite the political upheaval, there is no Brahmin chief minister in Uttar Pradesh. Yogi is not a Brahmin. So, Brahmin chief minister is a completely bygone era in the Uttar Pradesh. Again, how he manipulated a power. Here, some people have doubts. And here, I would like to emphasize, Kanshiramji was a great political strategist. As I explained, how he was a thinker. But thinker and strategist are two different things. He was one of the smartest strategists. We can, in a simple elaboration, say he was a Chanakya of Dalit politics. Chanakya is a familiar face in all over India. So he was a familiar in that way. And how, and you know very well that after 1993, he 2-3 times used the BJP to advance his political power. He did not allow the BJP to eat the BSP. Remember, till that moment of time, what was the historical truth? Historical truth was that Whichever is the party goes with the BJP, BJP is that political party. That was the clear-cut established fact. But in case of Kanshiramji, BSP, it was reversed. BJP got reduced. BJP could not come to that level. And here also some critics of Kanshiramji here criticize Kanshiramji that he compromised. Kanshiramji never had alliance with the BJP for any election. Remember, he never had alliance with the election. He only had alliance with the BJP for forming his own government. His own government. And when it came a turn of giving a support to the BJP, he withdrew. He withdrew. And for that, he once made it clear. I was the witness of that in Bhopal, when there were no even sufficient MLAs and MPs of BSP. In an open press conference, Kanshiramji made a statement saying that hereafter, I will form the government. And the journalist got a big surprise and he curiously asked, Kanshiramji, you have no MLA, no MP, how you will form the government? And he said, up till now, the governments which have formed the party, the governments, they have taken our MLAs and our MPs. They have used our MLAs and our MPs. In future, I will use their MLAs and MPs, but the government will be mine. So that message was very clear. So it was paying in the same coin. That kind of a firm determination was with the Kanshi, and therefore he had that kind of alliance. But he time and again emphasized, my alliance is with the BJP is a political, neither an ideological nor a social. And therefore, when he conducted a Periyar Mela in Lucknow or Kanpur, because Periyar had visited once a Kanpur, and there was stones throwing. But Kanshiramji, in order to pay tributes to Periyar, he conducted a big Mela. And in that, when it was conducted in a Kanpur, BJP had given a support to Mayawati was the chief minister. That time I remember this same Vajpayee Advani came with the folded hands requesting Kanshiram to change the venue or cancel the Melawa as far as possible because Periyar denounced the Ram like anything and therefore they didn't like the idea. So they requested again Kanshiram with the folded hand. But Kanshiram said, no, nothing doing. You have given us support, but agenda will be mine. You have given us support, I will conduct the Periyar Mela. Then finally what happened? Vajpayee requested Kanshiramji by saying that at least you shift the venue from Kanpur, from Uttar Pradesh to Delhi. If you conduct the Periyar Mela, Periyar function in Delhi, we have no objection. And Kanshiramji said, now I have the government in Uttar Pradesh, so I will conduct in Uttar Pradesh. And when I will form the government in Delhi, I will conduct the Periyar Mela in Delhi. So he never compromised. Now, what my message is, as Dr. Ambedkar was never compromising a leader. In the same fashion, Kanshiram was never compromising a leader. Uncompromising leader is the one of the best features of Dr. Ambedkar personality. Same is the Kanshiram personality. Flexibility is a different and compromising is a different. Compromising means withdrawing from your agenda and that neither Baba Sahib did it nor Kanshiramji and therefore this kind of a lesson needs to be understood. Now one more aspect which I would like to deal and that's of a vital significance and that Kanshiramji had a plan, not only a political change, but he wanted that even our people should become a rulers in terms of bureaucracy and administrative power. He had identified the different sectors of the power. So administrative power was one of the source. And therefore, when Mandal Commission report was not even tabled in the parliament, he made a lot of effort for placing the Mandal report on the table of the parliament. Mandal report was placed in 1980. Then it was in cold storage of the Congress till 1992. That is, the VP Singh comes to the power. So 12 years. That time, biggest movement was launched by Kanshiram. No other OBC or Dalit leader. Let us understand very crystal clear. Neither South leader nor North leader. But Kanshiramji used all his movement, all his political influence by dragging all the leaders like Karpuri Thakur, Ramvilas Paswan, bringing them to the fold of the BSP for the purpose of accelerating this agenda of Mandal. And by utilizing and this kind of politics, he brought the issue of Mandal issue at the center stage of the politics. Now that is the biggest remarkable achievement. For that he conducted even a jail borough for the 1 year every day. As per the Mandal report, the number of the caste was 2,743. 2,743 each people, one man from each caste, they participated in that kind of a struggle. So this kind of a procedure also was adopted that resulted into strengthening participating agenda in the governance through reservation policy, through the Mandal judgment, and the all other political efforts which took place in the Uttar Pradesh. Now, afterwards, Kanshiramji never planned only political transformation. As Phule ended his movement with the cultural revolution of Sarvajanik Satyadharma, each leader, whether Periyar, self-respect movement, Narayana Guru, SNDP, they all these our forefathers ended their movements not only with a political agenda, but with a cultural agenda. Kanshiramji had an agenda of cultural change. Again, if you read Chamchai, in the concluding paragraph he writes, and that is a very important. What he writes is very interesting. I'm just quoting as it is. He said, he has written that to convert the system of absolute inequality, to convert the system of absolute inequality into the system of perfect equality, that is our goal. That is our goal. Now, sentence is too small, but it speaks in volume for a cultural agenda. And here, in identifying the cultural agenda adopted by the Kanshiramji, several scholars made a mistake, including our one of the biggest scholar, that a US scholar who stayed in India, who wrote the cultural revolt in colonial India. She also blamed the Kanshiramji for saying Kanshiramji was without a cultural agenda. But it is not true. And therefore, he used to say that I want to make an India of Samrat Ashok Bharat, Prabuddha Bharat. He openly used to say that when the Babasaheb Ambedkar's conversion in 1956, when it will complete the 100 years, 50 years, on completion of 50 years, in the year 2006, I will convert into Buddhism with not less than 5 crore people in Uttar Pradesh and all over India. That was his public declaration. He declared from not one platform, 3, 4 platforms. And again here, just to provide a clue, before that, even he had inaugurated the Buddhist Research Center in the Nagpur in the auspicious hand of Bhadat Ananda Kausalyan. So that things many people hardly knows about this fact. And therefore he had certainly a cultural agenda. And cultural agenda that was definitely towards Buddhism, as the model was set by the Babasaheb Ambedkar. Now when I say Buddhism, here must again we have to look into this aspect in a broader perspective. And when I say broader perspective, let us compare here Babasaheb and Periyar. And Periyar ji before Baba Sahib Ambedkar celebrated, conducted functions in Tamil Nadu in a great number of Buddha Jayanti. During one of such functions, one man asked Periyarji that why you celebrate or conduct this kind of Buddha Jayanti functions? Are you Buddhist? And Periyarji replied, no, I am not Buddhist. The man was shocked. And again he asked, then who are you? And Periyarji replied, I am a rationalist and therefore Buddhist. So Ambedkar Buddhism needs to be understood in this kind of, and therefore, in a conclusive 2-3 ways, I would like to sum up. And here, what a lesson, what a conclusion we need to draw. And one conclusion is that as Dr. Ambedkar wanted to reconstruct the Indian society, reconstruct. Kanshi Ramji had that exactly the plan. He was in a line of power. Second, as Baba Sahib, as an alternative cultural way, he gave a model of this. Kanshi Ramji was on that path. Third, Baba Sahib time and again and again, repeatedly advocated independent identity and assertive politics. Independent, identity-based, assertive politics. Kanshi Ramji took it further in an aggressive manner. In an aggressive manner. And when I say aggressive here, again, aggression at an ideological level, not a physical working or functioning level. That is the most important here. So Kanshi Ramji not only took the Baba Sahib politics ahead, but he reconstructed, reoriented with the Bahujan ideology in a broader way, which was well articulated, well laid down by Baba Sahib on 24th April 1949 in Lucknow in a Scheduled Caste Federation big conference, saying that all SCs, STs, OBCs and the backwards, they will have to form a grand alliance in order to safeguard their political, social, economic rights guaranteed by the constitution. And for that,
Suraj, I think
therefore he
he
used
is freezed.
to,
Yeah,
hello, yes,
yeah, sir. We are audible. You are audible. Sorry.
yes. So, so these are the 3-4 conclusions we need to understand. And finally, one more conclusion I will place before you, and then I will stop. And that conclusion is, while running the movement, Kanshiramji adopted a methodology. And what kind of methodology? And he trained the workers by teaching that through the cadre camps. He used to tell us, teach us, that any movement which is basically against the social system, the social order, and the government, you cannot operate it with traditional, conventional method, but you have to be unconventional in your functioning. So either his slogans, जिसकी जितनी संख्या बारी, वोट हमारा राज तुम्हारा, वोट भी दो नोट भी दे दो. So these Kanshiramji orientations built up a movement with unconventional tactics, and therefore it was very difficult for the established or status quo political parties to oppose or to combat the challenges of the Kanshiramji. And therefore, unconventional character is also a remarkable feature of Kanshiramji. And therefore, in conclusion, I say that what was visualized, planned by Baba Sahib, Kanshiramji took it further by his innovative, transformative, and well articulated manipulative political uh, uh, caliber, a method so as to meet his agenda. And therefore, so long as he was alive, so long as he was guiding the movement, so long as he was leading the movement was at the top, it was at the peak. And when he just departs in 2006, the movement collapsed. That is my submission. And now, here I would like to stop and thank to all the organizers, especially Suraj and others. Thank you. Jai Bhim.
Thank you, sir. Jai Bhim. And it's really incredible uh, to 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 get a summary of uh, of a kind of a brief snapshot of uh, uh, what what it really meant to work with Kanshi Ramji and to learn. And I think there are so many lessons for younger generation to draw upon. Now we will invite question and answers. Please write down your question and answers accordingly, and we will invite Professor Suresh Mane to comment. He has given a good summary, starting from, I did not know that the activity of organizing had already begun in 1973, which Professor Mane has um, offered an insight to 5 years into formation of BAMCEF and how he caterized. And I think one of the uh, incredible insight, at least through this talk, was how people, especially gathered around Kanshiram when he said to the SC, ST, OBC converted minority, the Bahujan Samaj, that your political, social, economic interests are safeguarded if you are together and if you form a coalition and secure the rights that are granted in Constitution. It's such a simple explanation. We don't have to go much complicated in this sense. I think Professor Suresh Mane has. Oh, he's still here. Yeah. So Professor Mane, there are at least three questions now directed to you. As you are giving the insight of the payback to society, the kind of missionary idea, it's so simple, it's so simply put, it's so scientifically rich, and one cannot really think otherwise as to how these movements come to be, especially if it's saying the employee organization BAMCEF is of the people, by the people, but not for the people. Clear-cut message. So what you do, you pay back to society. You will join. If it's a BAMCEF, if it's a Bahujan movement, why do you come together? Because your interests are safeguarded. And where are those interests? They are in the Constitution. So let's work towards it. And I think what are we seeing today has been an outcome of Kanshiram's genius and activism that he put forward from 1970s, more actively 1980s. And this is why we need to all study and learn from him. So there are a few questions. I will take one by one. There is a question on BSP, which we can come to later, because right now we will focus on Kanshi Ramji's movement. So Buddha Ratna Shahare has asked a question. When you joined Kanshi Ramji's movement, Professor Mane, there were other Dalit movements in Maharashtra like Dalit Panthers, Prakash Ambedkar's BBM, etc. What uniqueness did you find in Kanshi Ramji's movement to join him rather other Dalit movements? I mean, I think it's an interesting question, Professor Mane. Why did you consider of all the other options? I would also like to hear that.
Yes, yes. Now,
Yes,
yes.
can you switch on the video, sir?
Yeah, because that mic was not clear.
Can I repeat the question, sir?
Yes, sir, I got the question.
You need to switch on your camera, sir, if you can, if it's
Yes,
possible.
one, one. Yes. It is a video is stop from your side.
No,
It is your side.
okay. Now you can try, sir. Yeah, you can switch on now.
Yeah, because it was from your side actually. Now it is okay. Now,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes. Now it is. So, as I said, um, I joined practically 1982 as a student activist in BS4 when I was staying in the center of Dalit Panther politics in Mumbai, named as the Siddharth Vihar Hostel, where all Dalit Panther tigers were staying. Still, I joined the Kanshi. And why I joined the Kanshiram? It was natural that by rejecting all kind of leaders in the Maharashtra, why I preferred the Kanshiram? Because I had written one article in a Marathi newspaper where I was saying that now it's okay.
Now we can hear, sir. Yeah, please go ahead.
So at that time, though there were fiery speakers, Panther was in an immediate position. Still, at that time, I realized that the Panther will not sustain for long because they were youngsters, not in a matured position. They were not capable of taking collective decisions. They had no enough resources to run the Panther movement. They were dependent upon this or that kind of Congress or this kind of that kind of leaders. When I was witnessing that kind of a phenomena, being an awakened activist, I realized at that time that these leaderships will not sustain for a long time. Otherwise, these Ramdas Athawale, Raja Dale, Namdev Dasal, all these leaders were used to stay and visit the Siddharth hostel where I was staying. Yet, that kind of leadership did not attracted me. Whereas, as a student activist, before joining the DS code, I studied the phenomenon of Kanshiramji right from BAMCEF period, well understood it, critically analyzed it, and normally people select a leader from their own caste, from their own state, own religion, own subcaste. But I that time also analyzed Kanshiramji. Kanshiramji selected the leaders. Pule, Shahuji Maharaj, Periyar, Sri Narayana Guru, Baba Sahib. No one even from Punjab, not a single leader, although he comes with that kind of a background. So in order to select the leader, you must cross all these kind of hurdles. And I had that maturity and capacity to cross. And therefore, Kanshiramji magnet could attract me. And that magnet was missing in the Dalit leadership in Maharashtra. Now, whether that Dalit leadership was right and my assessment was wrong, or Kanshiramji leadership was right and my assessment was also right, the answer is before you.
So, sir, was there anybody from BAMCEF who you were in touch with before? How did you come across Kanshiram? What was the...
Yes, yes, that's correct. That's very important thing because there were few selective workers at that time in Maharashtra joined BAMCEF, and I was in touch with them. I was in touch with them. Although I was staying in a Siddharth Fair hostel, a citadel of Dalit Panther, but I was also in touch with the Kanshiramji activities. I was reading the Operation India. At that time, I had read the speech of Kanshi in a first Dalit conference, which was held in Japan. Malaysia is the second. That was the first in Japan. So
Okay.
I had read that lecture that time. So even at that time was I had a little bit familiarity with the Bahujan phenomena that was emerging from the processes of BAMCEF. I used to attend the meeting of the BAMCEF also, and therefore I got intimated with that phenomenon, so I joined.
Thank you. Lokesh Bag asks a question. People say there was a disagreement between Dalit Panthers and Kanshiramji on an ideological level. Is it true? What were the differences in their approach?
Yes, yes, if you say ideological approach, yes, Dalit Panther was the mixed baggage of Marxism and Ambedkarism, and Kanshi was 10% was with Ambedkarism. He never touched with the Marxism. He never indulged in a kind of Marxist ideology in his discourse. That was the difference. Secondly, there were the differences over approach. Approach means Dalit Panther resulted into segregation of Buddhists in Maharashtra by the immediate cultural onslaught on others, and therefore that created the alienation of Buddhists and the other Dalits also in the Maharashtra. And again, these Dalit Panthers were at that time they were a non-political nature. So they had no firm faith in a political vision of Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar. And Kanshi was very clear in his political vision right from BAMCEF period, right from the diaspora period. And that was the three major differences between Dalit Panther and Kanshi.
I guess those were the two reasons for also disagreement within Dalit Panthers, Marxism and Buddhism. That was in as an internal.
Therefore, the Panther collapsed immediately. Na? That's the
Correct.
issue.
Rohit Shinde asked a question. In political sense, everyone, I mean, leader has a common agenda to uplift the marginalized masses and their welfare. So why are so many parties and there are disputes among thinkers when, nowadays, are they mismatching the concept of social agenda with political manifesto?
Some are victims of their personal egos. They are second. They are more worried about their self-existence. Third, most of the leaders are victims of inferiority complex. Fourth, some leaders are just stooges in the hands of the others. And fifth, some leaders are in the clutches of governmental machinery like income tax, CBI, ED, and therefore they are not free. And therefore, only independent and free, accessible leaders can work together. And those who work in an isolated manner, with the egoistic nature, without a team spirit, they will never form a group or they will come together. And that's the basic issue of human behavior,
Hmm.
which all Dalit leaders suffer from that.
Um, as you were responding to this question, it also reminded me of how to then assess a leader, and there are various parameters. But Kansiramji was two things we find, which we usually generally see. One is a scientific approach, which you talked also about, and he would give the formulas of C plus whatever, and he would kind of convincing. But also, what made him so confident? Why was he? What was the nature of his own maybe upbringing, or I don't know, because I always see him as a kind of very forthright.
Look, here is a leadership making process. Here need to understand. Kanshiramji came to Maharashtra as just a babu, an employee in a Pune ordnance factory. Then he started studying the Ambedkarite literature, which other Dalit leaders also have studied. But as he used to say, that once he read the Annihilation of Caste, he could not sleep. He became a restless. He read it again and again. Now, Annihilation of Caste book is read by several people 1,000 times, but that doesn't change their life. But this book of this write-up of Baba Sahib made a radical change in Kanshi. And then he, as a of Ambedkar, he again used to even thank even Gail Ambedkar for helping him to understand Ambedkar movement through his cultural revolt colonial India doctoral thesis, which she has wrote. So even he was quite liberal, and he never claimed that I'm a perfect leader. He always used to say, my learning process is continuous. My understanding process is continuous. And therefore, even in almost all the speeches, he always used to appeal to his followers that this is what I feel. I'm thinking on that. You also think upon it. And when we'll meet, we will have an interaction. So that kind of open nature of a leader is required for this kind of a movement which Kanshi Ramji had. And therefore, Kanshi Ramji had an entirely different kind of uh, uh, a leader building process. And he never claimed as a leader first. He always used to say, I am a senior worker, we all are workers. I am not a leader. And he वो मजाक से कहते थे लीडर तो बाजार में धक्के खा के घूमते हैं लीडर तो बाजार में धक्के खाते हुए घूमते हैं आई एम नॉट अ लीडर आई एम अ वर्कर आई एम अ डिसाइपल so that kind of honesty is also required as we always say intellectual honesty and the honesty in the era of a movement both are very vital things which give a great boost to the movement.
Thank you. As you are saying, so we have actually political leaders who are actually reading doctoral thesis to understand, which is I'm not yet come across somebody who is reading somebody's doc. Also that
Not a single example.
and learning, which takes a certain amount of also, I guess, humility and acknowledgement. And I guess we have a
Here, I would like to remind here, since you were interesting to know the other hidden aspects. Even he has asked me to conduct a research on one aspect, which is very vital. And that aspect was that we all know Barrister Jogendrath Mandal. And because of efforts of Jogendrath Mandal, Baba Sahib could win that Constituent Assembly election from West Bengal. But after partition, when Bengal got separated, and that area, Bengal, got included in Pakistan, Kanshiramji asked me to study this aspect by asking the question that thereafter, did Jogendrath Mandal, he was alive up to 1964. So till Baba Sahib death, he was alive. But he never met Baba Sahib. There is not a single meeting thereafter between Baba Sahib and Mandal. Though Mandal became a law minister in Pakistan
but he
for
was
some
the
time.
party leader of Scheduled Caste Federation, right? The Bengal unit.
That time. But when after partition he went to Pakistan, he became the member of Pakistan Constituent Assembly. He became the law minister there. Understand? And in 1952, he came back to India. So 1952 to 1956, he was alive. He was in India. Yet there is no meeting between Baba Sahib and Jogendrath Mandal. So I conducted a research and I found something which I presented to him. And after reading that, he said, don't disclose all these things to others. Whatever people give respect to Mandal and Baba Sahib, let it be as it is. You don't disclose your research to others. So we close the chapter. So in that way, this learning process was continuous element of Kanshiramji functioning. That is very important.
You know, just to kind of bring a different perspective, I had done some research somewhere, and the findings would have been, somewhat unsettling to certain people. So the seniors of the movement also advised me to just, the research is good, but keep it to yourself. So I think there's a sense of kind of learning, and which is incredible. There is a question, I mean, a kind of a club of question on BSP. So the question is, can BSP be revived after the, I guess the question is this decline, voting percentage, as a national cadre-based party, and then Arun Kumar is asking, is the is BSP distracting from our movement? Why BSP are continuously losing votes and seats across India? If at all you can, since you were the leader of the party for some time.
Brother Arun and others, those who are having the same question in mind, my association with the BSP is quite long, 1984 to 2014. In a state level in Maharashtra, at central level, as in charge of entire South India, in charge of Northeast, and the National General Secretary of BSP. I worked up to 2003, Kanshiramji's illness, under the guidance and leadership of Kanshiramji, and after 2003 up to 2014, under the guidance and leadership of Mayawati. So these 11 years also with the Mayawati. Now, why I brief to you? Because whatever I am going to answer, it is based on certain experience, based on a fact, not based on media reports or reading from here and there or some standard material produced by so-called knowledge producing industry, but first-hand information experiences I am sharing with you. Number one, Mayawati was very good up to 2012. I was with her also. But after 2012, she lost the track with the theory of a survival. She demolished the inside agenda of the Bahujan Samaj Party. Because Bahujan Samaj Party was reserved political party for our people. And here Kanshiramji view was that why to allow other people in our party? They have so many parties. Let this party be for only our people. So Kanshiramji was very clear. So that is the one fundamental difference between Kanshiram and Mayawati. That's why we have to understand. Secondly, Kanshiramji throughout his life never built up any storage in the form of family or a property. And that was the biggest mistake by Mayawati. Mayawati failed here on these two fronts. Third, because of building the funds, though which is required to run any movement, any political party, there are legal and proper valid ways to raise the fund for the party. But if you adopt the illegal methods, which Mayawati did it, she faced a problem of income tax, then her family members of ED, CBI scanner. As a result, Mayawati lost the independence. She became a dependent on a government whosoever in the power to decide her future course of action. As a result of which, Mayawati lost the independent status to lead the movement. And that is a very remarkable change in the Mayawati person. Finally, the Mayawati have lost the hope of pursuing a politics of a Bahujan from this point to further elevated stage. She has no hope. And when leader loses the confidence, the hope, there is no question of rebuilding that kind of movement. And therefore, now these are the phenomena which are confined to Mayawati's personality, functioning, behavior that is a costing to BSP. Now, one of the important things, categorization of party. Since the elevation of Mayawati, that phase has completely stopped. Allocation of tickets, that everybody knows, so I need not explain. And building the new kind of leadership. Mayawati is also victim of, again, inferiority complex. So she doesn't allow any other Dalit backward leader to crop up who can come up in the movement with a mighty range. Kanshiramji used to always say that a genuine capable leader creates the leaders and the fake leader creates the chamchas. Genuine and capable leader creates the real leaders, but fake leaders creates the chamchas. And Mayawati is a victim of that. And in these circumstances, it is my conclusion after long research that though Mayawati might have the intention to create or revive the movement, she cannot, because she is in the clutches of so many investigating agencies because of the family and property. She cannot lead. She has lost the hope of a further elevation to the post of prime minister. So she is not having that kind of a stimulation to lead the movement. And thirdly, she has almost wiped out whatever the Kanshiramji created, the leadership in a Bahujan movement, which is irreparable damage lost to the movement. So it is very difficult to survive and revive.
Thank you, sir. Now there is a question on Buddhism. Rupali Gaikwad and Aniket Kumar have asked on Buddhism. So Rupali's question is, and I think I'll club them together. Do we need a religious, cultural, political, or social movement? In other sense, how can we represent Buddhism as in form of ideology than as religion, for example? And Aniket is asking that Dr. Ambedkar's conversion that we are seeing is often seen as a cultural than religious. So, so why did Kanshiram not convert to uh,
Yeah.
Buddhism?
So first answer, as I told you, he had a plan. He had declared that in 2006 I will convert with the crores of people from all over India. But before that, he had a stroke in 2003. He fell ill, and that was a permanent phenomena. So he could not reach to that phase. So that dream of him remained unfulfilled. That is the one aspect. Second, a religious and a cultural phase, as you rightly said, we need to differentiate here. Here, even Ambedkar Buddhism, we need to understand in a broader connotation. As I explained from the quote from the Periyar, how the Periyar explained that since I am a rationalist, I am a Buddhist. I am not a converted to Buddhist. So this kind of a mental status as Kanchiramji had. And therefore he was a Buddhist by faith, Buddhist by practice, though he never had an opportunity to convert, though he had a plan in a 2006. Because he used to always say, personally I can convert anytime, but that will not become a big movement. In order to make it a conversion as a movement, we need to take it to logical age. And when the Baba Sahib Buddhism even will complete the 50 years, I will have the conversion. But that even does not happen because of his illness, and that become a permanent. Now here again, even Baba Sahib Buddhism concept, we need to understand. Who can be Buddhist? A very simple. I have put a question. And my answer is those who carry the burden of the caste, they cannot become the Buddhist. Those who carry the burden of the caste egos, caste practices, caste cultures, they can't become a Buddhist. Kanshiramji was hitting that. He just tried to understand his movement, Jati Todo Samaj Jodo. Now, Jati Todo, it means the caste is the prime hurdle towards the Buddhism, because caste creates the segregation. Caste creates the feeling of highness and lowness, gradation. Kanshiramji wanted to demolish that. And therefore, in a plain or a broader way, if our aim is to create the equalitarian society, I'm not saying egalitarian, equalitarian society, then that is the nearest to the Buddhism. And in that kind of a society, you don't need that form of a conversion. But when you subscribe, believe, and practice the liberty, equality, fraternity, justice are the prime pillars of your life, individual life, family life, socio-political life, then you are a Buddhist. And that's a wider connotation we must take.
No, thank you, sir. So we'll take a few more, and then as we are reaching our conclusion, one question that I came recently: why did Kanshiram disconnect himself from BAMCEF? Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah. As you know very well, when we build up the movement, The opponents of the movement, they don't keep quiet. They make all-out efforts to break your movement, to demolish your movement. That is the one angle here we need to understand. Second, even in the beginning phase, whatever army we build up as a leader, as a you, an organizer of a small organization, you build up a 20 cadres. These 20 cadres don't remain with you lifelong. Out of 20, few will desert you for one reason or another. And that is again here you need to understand the human behavior, human pattern. For example, if I promote the A person, B person will not be happy. Or because of my functioning method, if A leader got promotion, the B leader will be unhappy. This happens in any social organization. That also happen in the BAMCEF. So one element of breaking the BAMCEF, because our opponents rightly diagnosis Kanshiram that his strength is in the BAMCEF, which was an organization of civil servants. And civil servants are governed by civil service conduct rules. When Kanshiram was more engaged in politics, he did not wanted to put his BAMCEF cadre into trouble and thereby their service career in trouble. So he disconnected from them. He got disconnected from them. That is the number one. Number two, those who were not happy, satisfied with the Kanshiram, they separated from him in 1986 and they registered the title of BAMCEF. Till that time, BAMCEF was unregistered and BAMCEF pattern was based on RSS as RSS is unregistered. Now those people who separated from Kanshiramji through BAMCEF, they registered the title of the BAMCEF. So Kanshiramji said, why to quarrel with our own people? And therefore, he put the BAMCEF to the behind, to the backward or the background. And then he continued to march on the political front. These were the two primary things which were for disconnecting his relationship with the BAMCEF.
But does that mean the BAMCEF cadres that were so? But we hear that BAMCEF was still supporting BSP's rise of power. Like, what's that?
No, basically wrong it is. See, when they break up from Kanshiramji, earlier leaders were Ram Samush from Uttar Pradesh, Tejinder Jalli from Gujarat, G.K. Kapade from Maharashtra. They were the prime leaders. Now they had disagreement with the Kanshiram either on this issue or that issue. Correct? Even they openly said that time that we will produce another Kanshiram, which they never produced. Again, those who deserted Kanshiram, they got further fragmented into two factions. So basically, it is a human problem. So they not only had a disagreement with Kanshiram, but they subsequently had disagreement with each other, like a Dalit Tanker. So Kapade got separated. Tejinder said Jalli got separated. So again, another two groups came. Again, Kapade BAMCEF got divided into two parts. One Vidi Borkar BAMCEF, one Vaman Meshram BAMCEF. Again, the Tejinder Jalli faction got fragmented in another part. So some part called as a Paigam or something like that. So they not only had a disagreement with the Kanshiram, but they had a disagreement with each other because the missionary spirit which they had earlier that went missing and personality clashes came forward and the aim of the movement had taken a back seat so that fragmentation took place. Kanshiramji overcome this aspect, this unpalatable phenomena by sidelining and disconnecting the BAMCEF so he could march further.
Okay. Thank you. So we often hear, so I guess the explanation is clear. So in a way, what you're saying is when for as long as Kanshiram was active, he put put all the cadres and the leaders together. Of course, as one leaves, it kind of gets divisive. I think I'm seeing people are raising hands. I will not allow you to speak. You have to type your question. If you don't have question to type, then you will not be answered. Now, Professor Mani, what is the question is now? What do we do? Like the questions are also now. We have this example.
Yeah, that's the most important question. Huh?
Yeah.
That is in the language of the Lenin. What next to be done
Yes.
after the revolution of France? And that exactly question is before us. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So my simple answer is whatever the movement has been built up by Baba, we need to carry forward under any circumstances with any kind of challenge, what may come. There is no alternate than to take this movement ahead. That is the number one. Number two, in order to take this movement ahead, whatever the basic requirements are there, we need to build up. We need to again regather in the terms of leadership, in the terms of categorization, in terms of even resources. We need to build up. Even one vote, one note. Now who is practicing? Arvind Kejriwal is practicing. BSP is not practicing. Why you divorce? Why you divorce with this fundamental style of your movement? So as we often say in a cricket, when you loses your wicket, stick to basic. In a movement also, we have to stick to the basics. Those are tried and successful formulas. We need not abandon. We need not give up. So tried and tested methods, we must continue. And those were tried and failed methods, we did not continue. That we have to be very clear. So believing this movement, continuing this movement, continuing movement with the strength. That is the third. And fourth, and that is a very vital, that relates to the Kanshiramji formula of NDS. That is the need multiplied by desire multiplied by the strength is equal to social change. Here, take example tribals in India. Now I am studying more on tribals. Whether our Ambedkar movement has gone to the tribals, reached to the tribals? And answer is why not to clutches of the BJP, RSS and others? So in order to build up our army, we need to untap social segments. Untap social segments. For example, I gave you example of tribals or even the nomadic tribes in some states. We need to devote and work on this aspect. And the fifth issue is the political alignment and realignment. In order to build up our own politics, we need to go for that. In isolation, if you are doing a politics, we are the two models of isolation politics, Prakash Ambedkar and Mayawati. Biggest damages caused. The losses are very clear. Otherwise, we could have even a 10 MLAs last time only. But it was the silly mistakes committed by the leaders. So I'm just analyzing the phenomena, not the personality. And therefore, as I say that we will have to build up a political base also. And finally, we need to have a crystal clear agenda for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, short term, long term, that need to have. Without agenda, without program, you cannot run any movement. So these are the 4 or 5 essential things are required that we need to carry forward, and we have to stick with it.
Now, sir, thank you. There are two final questions, and we'll call it a wraps. The question is, now since BSP already has a base across India, and BSP is not a private ownership of Mayawati, but it is a common ownership of the movement and missionaries who have contributed to making the movement, like people like yourself or many other cadres across India. What do we do with that? Because they still have the capacity to mobilize and garner 1.3 crore, even more votes. Because sometimes reinventing something will take another 20 to 25 years. And something that is ready, but perhaps the leadership or the organizational structure needs change. Is there any pragmatic response for youth who may not be able to sustain for another 20, 25 years until they get old, and by the time they want to taste the power, they are already in hospitals? So what can we do in this situation? There is a party, there is a structure.
Suraj, incidentally, before starting our program, some youths came to meet me at Nagpur. I'm at Nagpur now, where I'm staying. It is a big empty house. The youth from Nagpur who are a BSP worker, they came and met me. And their anxiety and worry was how we can do, what we can do in the future. And they requested me, why can't you come back to BSP again? If you are there, we have a hope. I told him openly, and I'm sharing with you. Openly, I'm sharing. I told them, it is your good wish that you believe me in my capacity, so you came to meet me. Thanks for it. But what the message you are carrying, whether that message is of Mayawati or on yours own, and whether your message will be endorsed by Mayawati, even tomorrow, if I agree, don't worry. Again, I will rebuild the BSP and we'll take it further. We are not happy to start again from ABC. We are left with no options, therefore we have to restart. That's the issue. Let it be very clear. Because we have spent 20, 30, 40 years in this movement, in this party, building it, without even aspiring for the tickets, because I never aspired for ticket. You know very well, all Maharashtra people know very well. So, even you and me both agree that we are ready to work for BSP. Whether Mayawati is going to allow either you or me to come and join and work? And that answer is clear-cut no. Therefore, Mayawati marginalized all kind of leaders which were built up, developed by Kanshi Ramji. I am a product of Kanshi Ramji model. There were several leaders in Uttar Pradesh. Mayawati sidelined all those leaders. Now look here, she appointed her, that is what kind? Brother's son as the legal heir. What happened? Merely because you are born in that family, are you entitled for leadership? Even after demise of Baba Sahib, people, those who blindly followed Baba Sahib, they never accepted even Baba Sahib's son as the leader, Yashwantrao Ambedkar. We cannot afford to forget this. Mahatma Phule family, you never, Shah Maharaj, never. So you be very clear. Merely because you are a part and product of a particular family, you are entitled for leadership. That dynastic doesn't work in Ambedkarism because Ambedkar was deadly against the dynastic. This kind of methods. Mayawati don't understand this. Therefore, what is option? Even all people like you, me, young youths, we are ready to rebuild again, even under leadership of Mayawati. Whether she is allowing, an answer is no. Reason is what? And that's the prime question. Reason is Mayawati is no longer as an independent leader. She is not an independent leader. She is operated by anti-Ambedkarite politics, anti-Ambedkarite forces due to certain mistakes of family and property committed by Mayawati. So she is in the government clutches. She is not ready to face as the Jayalalitha faced. She went in jail. As Kejriwal faced. Mayawati is not ready to face. Hemant Soren, a tribal man faced, but he didn't compromise. Mayawati is afraid. She is not ready to face, not ready to take on. Even if she decides, I am ready to take on, let anything happen, whole country will stand behind her. But she has no courage. Those who know the Mayawati personality, we have worked with her for more than 20 years. We know her personality. She is not ready to take on that. She had absolute fear psychosis that this government will kill me, this will happen, that will happen. So she is no longer independent leader, and dependent leader never leads the movement. That is also less.
Thank you. So now we have a structure which works in a very negative way. And so is there a possibility for us to work it out, sir? Meaning, is there a way somebody can go and ring the bell in the cat, so to speak, sir? Do you have any advice on that? Like,
No. Even as I have personally myself have tried to build the cat. And therefore
Okay,
I'm
great.
out. Therefore I'm out. I personally tried to build the cat. Don't think that we have not done it. We have done, we have tried. But she never accepted that because she has developed her own method, own style. In that case, those who are non-political elements, they still try, they still can approach. And there are many people even now on 15th meeting it up. People are not blindly rejecting the BSP, but the BSP phenomena of Mayawati and BSP phenomena of Kanshiram, there is a vast difference. People would like to continue the Kanshiramji BSP, not the Mayawati BSP, and that's the remarkable difference which we need to accept.
And so there is no way, then there is no way out, because it seems like a stalemate, and any organization cannot rely, especially missionary organization, cannot rely around, but also we need leaders, right?
That is the issue. That's a fundamental issue. When
So,
the leader is not independent, how you can function? Your independent movement cannot function, and that is exactly happening. Therefore, look at the Mayawati. She never had any program. As I told you, last rally of the BSP was held in Delhi in 2000 when Kanshiramji was alive. I conducted that rally. Thereafter, no massive rally in Delhi. For 5 years, Mayawati don't come out of her palace, her residence. There is no agenda. There is no mass connectivity, no worker connectivity. Only she comes out of the home during an election. That time also she don't carry the detailed discussion with the workers. How your movement will survive? Kanshiram, the man who was the day and night, 24 hours, he was the people's leader, people's man, not the leader's leader. Kanshiramji was the people's leader. Mayawati, the leader's leader. That's also difference.
Final question is of Chandrasekhar Azad, who has come into power. People, some of them are saying that does he has the capacity? Does he has the ability? Can he do something in the movement? Now people are exploring the options. One of the aspects is, BSP, for example, as a political national base that is ready for us, that is alive and kicking. What can, if we can't build the cat, somebody has to do it. And many people like yourself have sacrificed yourself in this and become a casualty. So any comments on this new election response of the
people like us, though we have become the casualty of Mayawati malfunctioning, we have not given up our part. That is the continuous process. That is the one thing. We are continuing whatever with the limitations, whatever resources we have, cadre support, mass support, we are continuing, we are trying to rebuild. That's the one message is clear. Second, coming to Chandrasekhar, I have met him when even he was in the jail. I have discussed with him. I have discussed with his colleagues also several times. When he was floated that Bhim Army, 2019, he led down the other party. But meantime, he was in the hands of some other elements also. For example, 2019, he was campaigning in Bihar for Pappu Yadav. He and Prakash Ambedkar. And Pappu Yadav was demolishing the RJD in Bihar. Why Bihar lost? Therefore, we need to have a all India crystal clear understanding. Last time in assembly election, Bihar, why RJD lost? There were two alliances. One Pappu Yadav and 2-3 organizers. One BSP, one Kushwa, and that Yamayan, Barrister Ovish. There were these two alliances. And for one of the alliance, this Chandrasekhar and Prakash Ambedkar, they campaigned against RJD in Bihar for Pappu Yadav. Now, those who know the Pappu Yadav personality, whether Pappu Yadav had any kind of ideology, any kind of connectivity to any movement, and for such a man, these people go and campaign in the helicopter. For what and how? That's the one question. Secondly, in recent days, North India people knows better, Delhi and Uttar Pradesh. Some Jat leaders were supporting Chandrasekhar. Good. If they are supporting, it's a welcome sign. Jat are not our enemies because Sir Choturam was produced in the same community. We don't say that they are our enemies. But by these two, giving two examples, though Chandrasekhar has won the election, it is a welcome sign. We have to welcome it. But Chandrasekhar has won first time in South India, Tirumavalan and Ravi Kumar. They have secured the 2 parliamentary seats now second time. But nobody thinks that they could become all India leaders because they coming from Tamil Nadu with the Tamil language, a language of the barrier. And why we perceive the Chandrasekhar as a substitute? Because he come from the northern bloc with the Hindi heartland, where the BSP is declining, and therefore immediately we try to cultivate. Now here we have to differentiate between two things. Running the movement and become a successful politician, these are two things. Ram Vilas Paswan was a successful politician, but nobody considered Paswan was competent to lead the movement. And this fundamental difference you need to understand. This applies to Chandrasekhar. Of course, it will be premature to say so because he has yet to emerge and long miles to go. But from his actions in the past, same applies to Ram Vilas Paswan. Paswan became a political successful leader, but he could not run the movement. Secondly, in order to run the movement, as I explained, the emergence of Kanshi through various processes. The Chandrasekhar is not a product of that. Chandrasekhar is a product of different set of circumstances. And therefore, Chandrasekhar immediately could not fit into the model which is required to lead the movement. And there are several other things which are talked in the people about your approach, about your functioning, about your connectivity with the people. These are also of vital nature. And therefore, since he has won the seat, it is a welcome sign. But we have to wait and see whether he will be able to the yes.
Good. I guess we are in time. Thank you everybody for joining. माफ करना हम हिंदी में नहीं ला सके हमारे हिंदी भाषिक लोगों के लिए, पर
ठीक है, हिंदी भाषिक के लिए we can have some other day.
some other day, बिल्कुल कोई
Yeah.
some other कोई और दिन करते हैं. Allow me to thank you, Professor Dr. Suresh Mani. You are already on the tour. You have already written a piece. Please check out tomorrow's Dalitality Indian Express. He has written a piece analyzing some of these aspects, what he thinks, what is the movement, why politics is merely a weapon, not an ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to reconstruction of society. Very clarity. We didn't need this. We need this. And in that sense, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you. We'll have more speakers to educate us about Kanshiram, his politics, his ideology, his strategy, his scientific methods. Our inaugural speaker, Professor Dr. Suresh Mani. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Jai Bhim, sir.
Thank you. Jai Bhim to all of you. Bye.